Hey everyone, I'm Rockin' Robin. Today I'm making creme brulee. Have you ever had it? Well, if you haven't, it's a vanilla flavored custard that's nice and creamy. And we're gonna top that. It has a nice little crust on top of caramelized sugar. And so what you have there is a nice combination of that real creamy custard and that little bit of sweet crunch on top. And it is super easy to make, and I can't wait to show it to you. So I'll be right back right after this. I'm going to go over the ingredients we need for this recipe and the equipment because there's some unusual things that, well, at least one, that you may not have seen before. So let's start with our ingredients. All right, we're going to need 4 eggs, and I'm going to go ahead and separate those. I'll show you how I do it. And we'll just set aside the whites. You can save them for another application. All right, and we'll need some sugar. I got sugar here. Heavy whipping cream. I got mine at Trader Joe's because they have no additives. You're going to need some vanilla extract as well as a vanilla bean. I picked this up at Trader Joe's as well. And this is what it looks like if you haven't seen one before. And we're going to slice that and take out the little seeds. Then for the topping, we're going to use a little bit of, I'm using some baker's sugar, which is extra fine. And I like to use that just because it caramelizes a little quicker and easier. But if you want to use regular sugar for that, you can. And then we'll just need a touch of salt. So for the tools and equipment that we're going to need for this, let's start off here with, I have a Pyrex measuring cup that's glass and it has a little spout, so it makes it a little bit easier once I strain my egg mixture into this to get anything out of there that I keep it nice and creamy. All right, so we'll need that. We'll need you might not have seen these. This is a butane cooking torch. You guys got to be really careful with this. It's highly flammable. But, and they cost about $30 or so, and it just works really great for this recipe. Some people try and do it in the broiler. It doesn't work quite as well, but this works well, and you can use it for other things like meringue, twice-baked potatoes, etc. So it's not just one use. We'll need a saucepan, and you're going to need some ramekins here. I've got small ones. Ideally, you'd probably want the ones that are a little bit wider for this dish, but I don't have that, and they're about 1 inch tall. So then you'll need a pan to put these in because we're going to use a water bath to cook them. So we need a pan that we can pour hot water into up to about half the height of the ramekin. And I've got some water boiling over on the stove right now, of which we're going to fill this pan with after we get the custard in there. And you also want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our heavy whipping cream and pour it into our saucepan, and I'm going to get the vanilla in there because I want that flavor from the vanilla bean to really infuse and have time to infuse. So you take your bean and you make just a little cut right along, whoopsie. You want to cut through it and just open it up. All right, so once you open it up, there's a bunch of little tiny seeds in here, and you're just going to take your knife and scrape them up. So like this, and then you're going to place them into the cream. And that's where a lot of that delicious vanilla flavor is. And then we can cut this in half, and I'm just going to go ahead and toss it into the pan and let that just sit there for a few minutes. We're going to put this on the stove on medium-low heat so it has a chance to infuse. I also like to add a little extra vanilla extract because I just like that extra flavor. I think that that's what this dessert is all about. So I'm going to add just a half a teaspoon in there. Our next step is to separate our eggs. So the way I like to do that is I use my hands and I pour the egg yolk into my hand, and then I just go back and forth a few times. And if that yolk decides to break, I'll quickly pour it into my bowl. I've got the eggs in the bowl, and so we're going to add the sugar and a pinch of salt. And I'm going to use the electric mixer here. You could use a whisk if you prefer. I'm just going to mix this up until it's light and creamy, and it's going to change color. It's actually going to get a little bit lighter than when I first do it. So let me show you. So you can see that the egg yolks got a little bit lighter and fluffy. And so now we're ready to combine the two. I'm going to go check on the cream, and we'll see if it's hot enough. Okay, so what we're looking for here is For our cream to come to just a boil, you can see it's, I don't know if you can, hopefully you can see this, just starting to boil. So I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm going to take out the, here we go, the vanilla bean, and I'm going to move my pan over here, and I'm going to start adding, I'm going to temper the eggs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, whoops, a spoon, a ladleful of the hot cream and place it slowly into the eggs while whisking constantly. We don't want to cook the eggs, we just want to bring them up to a warm enough temperature that we can add the rest of the cream without it cooking or scrambling the eggs. And I'm going to do probably 3 ladles full, which brings the temperature up. And now I'm just going to pour from the pan slowly. Here at the end you can see all the little vanilla seeds in there. I want to get those in there. And now I'm going to pour this mixture in through my strainer here to get out anything that might might have been left behind from the egg or whatever. And this will make sure that it's nice and creamy. So I placed the ramekins inside my roasting pan. There's no water in it yet. All right. So now I'm going to just take my pitcher here of the cream and I'm going to pour it in. Now I'm only going to go up to that ridge. I'm going to place this in the oven first before I add the water to the roasting pan. On the middle rack, middle of the oven, I'm going to set that in there like that, and then I'm going to pull the rack out a little bit so that I can get to it with my teapot without burning myself. So my water has been boiling, so you want to start with really hot water. And like I said, I'm going to pour enough water in there to go halfway up the ramekin, and we're going to bake this. We're going to check it at 30 minutes. It may go 35, somewhere in there. What we're going to look for is a jiggle, just a very light jiggle in the custard. It's been 30 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this out and check it. I'm going to pull it out just a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of jiggle. Hopefully you can see this. There's a nice little jiggle, but it looks like it's set up. So I'm going to go ahead and take these out of the oven. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to get them out of the water bath, because you need to take them out of the water bath now so they don't continue to cook. So I've got a spatula and some tongs. So what I do is I kind of grab it. I don't rely just on the tongs because it could slip out of my hand. And I put the spatula underneath, let it drip a little bit, and safely set it out to cool. I'm letting my custard sit on the counter now and come to room temperature, and then I will place it in the refrigerator where it can keep up to 3 days. Now you want the custard to be chilled completely, I mean very, very cold, before we add our sugar topping and we caramelize it with the torch, and I'll show you how to do that in just a bit. The custard has cooled completely, so now we're ready to do our little torch thing to it. Okay, so we're going to take some, I'm using my superfine sugar. And since I have a very small surface area, I'm just going to put on, just a little bit like that. Now you want to kind of evenly disperse it, nice little thin layer on top. Basically what we're going to do here is I'm going to light the torch, and we're going to keep it about 1 inch or 2 away from the edge. And I'm going to turn it around a little bit. And you want to keep it moving so that you don't burn the sugar. You can see there, it's just a little while, it turns brown. You don't want to burn it though. You can see it starting to bubble up a little bit. And then you want to let this cool for about 2 minutes before you actually serve it to somebody, because your dish can actually get hot from this. And another way to do this as well is we can try putting it in the oven and putting it under the broiler. It doesn't work quite as well as this technique, but it can work. All right, so here's our oven version. I've got the sugar on there. I put the dish in another dish just to make it easier to get in and out of the oven. I have it on the highest level, and I've got it under the heating element as close as I can, and so I'm going to leave the door partially open so I can keep an eye on it because it can burn. So you want to watch this like a hawk. Both of the creme brulees are finished, and you can see here where the one here on my left is a little more golden brown. I think the torch does a little bit better job of caramelizing the sugars. The oven version came out a little bit darker brown, not quite as appealing looking, but both of them have that little crust on top. Now, see if you can hear this. Whoops. You hear that? That's nice and hard. They both have it. And that's what you want, that crunchy little top there. It goes delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and break this up, and you can see here how nice and creamy that is, the creme brulee. Look at that. That is looking absolutely delicious, and I can't wait to take a bite. The custard is so creamy and smooth. It is absolutely wonderful. And that nice little crunch on top, fantastic. I tell you guys, I hope you'll try this recipe. It is super easy to make. Very delicious. You could serve it up with a little fresh raspberries or strawberries, whatever you want. So thanks for watching. Be sure and subscribe to my channel. I'll be coming out with new videos every week. And leave me a comment. I love to interact with you guys. So thanks again, and we'll catch you in the next video.